I hope my screen is visible. Up to this point, what we have discussed, and we created actually a story, right? Remember when to use story and when to use dashboard. Dashboard is the option when a management, when somebody can go through your dashboard, click into different options and look through different viewpoints, right? You need not have to be there to explain that to that person, that higher management. But sometimes it might be necessary that they might not have access to Tableau. You just need to send certain presentations or certain documents, right? In that case, story will be helpful, right? So this is what we had kind of created a storyboard. We had created different viewpoint, and for each of them we had given certain kind of insights, right? Up to this point we had discussed in the last class. Today what we are going to discuss something interesting. uh, there is something called a quadrant analysis, right? And that is easier to do in Tableau. So what do you mean by quadrant analysis? Let's say right now what we have done, we have created different groups, different set. We have created histogram through which we wanted to understand those customers, right? Quadrant analysis is when I take two axes, two parameters or two information, right, about the customers in two different axes, x-axis and y-axis, and try to segregate my customers, right? Try to understand my customers better, right? So I have two continuous variables, age and BMI. Let me take that. Age, BMI. Age I have taken into columns. BMI into age. So once I do that, I'll click on analysis, click on this aggregate measures, right? Sometimes what happens when you take continuous data into your view screen in the white space, right? All the information will be aggregated at a single number, right? If I go and look into, click on this value, right? So total age value is 56,522, total BMI value of whatever 1300 customers. It is showing as a single value, sum of all the age, sum of all the BMI numbers. But I do not want that, right? I need it individual numbers. So to that, if you are looking at you on your screen and you are just looking into one single dot, right? Go to analysis, click on this aggregate measures. Okay. So this is what. Okay. Let me just change the axis a little bit. Okay. So these are my customers distributed for BMI and age. So what will I do? I'll take insurance claim into color. Insurance claim, remember what we had discussed. It is either people have claimed or not, right? So I'll make it again discrete. I'll make it dimension discrete. So that means those are blue, those are not claimed. Orange ones, those are the customers who have claimed an amount, right?
Sir, will you please show us the BMI edit one, like
BMI
edit
edit.
access,
Yeah,
edit access.
click on this fix.
Yes, thank you,
Yeah. So now what I'll do, I want to divide my customers into different segment, right? Again, not into the customer segmentation into a particular kind of a location or what we have discussed, psychography, geographic, right? I'm taking two parameters, age and BMI. Based on that, I want to segment the customers, right? Demographic segment this. So on this, before I do that, let me put a few options. We have discussed the filter options earlier. We'll use that today. We'll take children, whatever is other parameters, right? We'll take into not that. Then gender. Okay, number of children, 0, say without kids, till 5. Then gender, male or female. Then smoking habit, whether that person smokes or not, right? So all the filter I have kept as
Sir,
so filter. Yeah,
sir, can you explain again how to change the name of the filter?
I have
That
not changed
insurance
the
claim.
name. I have
Sir,
not
in that
changed the.
insurance claim, there the in is like 0 and out is 1. But in your case, it is showing uh, claimed on claimed, not claimed claim. So how that this
Click
right
on
one?
dimension and click on discrete.
So that I have compared. The right one, the insurance claim, but the right.
So right click on the edit alias.
So it is not.
It will be showing 0, right? 0 and 1.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Click on that 0, edit alias.
So I'm not getting that option. That's why.
It is showing 0 and 1? No.
Yes, sir. In my case, it is showing 0 and 1.
So if you click that, what is showing? No option, nothing like this, it is showing.
It is showing only format legends, title, edit title, highlight, select item, sort, keep only, exclude and hide.
Edit alias not
edit
showing.
item. No, sir.
Not sure what is the problem. Anyone else finding that issue?
Sir, I'm not getting the graph only.
What is the problem? What issue is showing? What error it is showing?
Nothing is showing, sir. It's not just showing anything.
Is there a single dot somewhere? Only one single dot.
Sir, before edit access, it was there, but after edit access, it's disappeared.
What did you change anything?
No,
Click
sir.
start.
Edit.
Click start. Okay,
Yes,
do
sir.
one thing.
Everything is the same.
Take that out again do like whatever exercise we have done. Again drag age and BMI. I'm not sure what has happened. Take that out again, put age and BMI into columns and rows and try to do it again.
Sir, in the
Sir, can
filters,
you
only
please?
showing green, not the blue ones.
Which one?
In the filters, the children, gender, and smoking.
Yeah, so that all of them you have to change it to discrete.
Okay.
Sir, can you show the values like children, the range what you have selected from 0 to
No, whatever was there, I have not changed there anything. I have only changed to discrete. So drag
sir.
these children to there, just
Okay.
put OK, then right click and change it to discrete. Once you do that, click on this show filter.
Okay, sir. Change to
Okay. So click on this analytics, right? Go to this reference line. Okay. Click on this reference line, drag it to here, edge. Take the median value. Similarly, again drag the reference line, put it on the BMI table. Sum BMI median. Okay. So what basically I did, I created a median point or median line for BMI, median line for age, right? For all of my customers. What is my median age? It is coming around 42 and BMI is 26.40, right? Median is the middle value, right? If I either ascending order or descending order, I arrange my customers, right? I arrange all the customers. What is the median age and what is the median BMI, right? Everybody is able to do that.
So can you please repeat it?
Yeah. So click on. So here we are up to till to last class we used to work on this data pane, right? Now just right click on this analytics pane, right? Just right side of it, right? Then on the custom part, click on this reference line, drag it. Once you start dragging, these options will be showing because you have two axes only, right? Age and BMI. First one you put on age, right? Once you put, let me do it again. So I click on this reference line, I take, put it on this age, right? Once I take it here, this is getting shaded, right? So I'll put it there. So value is age, that I'll take it as median value, right? The label is completion, nothing else I have to change. I'm just taking the median value of the age as my reference line. Put OK. Similarly, again, I'll take this reference line, put it on the BMI. Some BMI, that is median. So my median age is 42, median BMI is 30.40. So anybody who is not in this part?
sir. Can you retake? Actually, my Tableau got crashed in between. I'm not able-
Okay. Just take this, click on this reference line, drag it onto the edge. Okay. Then value age, rather than average, it is better to take median. You can take average, but generally, whenever you are creating this exercise, it is always better to take median because that is the mid value, right? Average might be kind of affected by the outliers. Median is least affected by the outliers. Put OK, then this median line.
And sir, for the horizontal line, no, both.
Same thing, reference line, you are creating it for BMI, right? Now you will put it on the BMI. Again, drag the reference line. Okay. So this is the quadrant, right? Now, if you see quadrant means 4 areas. I have created an area and it is divided into 4 parts, right? 4 quadrants, right? So this is known as the, so you can write it as a quadrant analysis. So now what happens if I use this filter, right? So let me use the first smoking habit filter. Let me try to understand how my non-smoking customers behaves. Non-smoking customers are behaving, right? So I select this non-smoking customers. Out of this non-smoking customers, if I just visually look into, this is the area, right? Non-smoking customers who are beyond. If I just look into my BMI, right? BMI is 30.35. Almost all of them, right? Around 70% of them, I can say, are kind of not claimed, right? They are like, if they are not claiming me, they are good customers for me. If I just look into median BMI, whatever, 30.35 and median age is less than 42, right? So this sector, right? They are almost 90% or 80% of them have not claimed, right? So those are my preferable customers. But if I just look into opposite side, those non-smoker people, right, having a BMI greater than 30 and age above 42, right, are a risky customers for me, right? Because if you see, almost 70 to 80% of the customers have claimed, right? Again, I can get into little bit of granularity. What about their gender? Is gender make a difference? I'll change female, almost similar kind of role. If I do male, almost looks like, again, it is a visual aspect, right? Do not look much different, right? So gender is there. Let me look into children. If I select this number of children is 0, that means they do not have kids. That person, that customer do not have kids. See, if I select those customers who do not have kids and they are non-smoker, if they have more than certain median group, 25, let's say age group is 25, almost they are going to claim. Because if you see, everyone who is above that age group, BMI of 25, right, they are going to claim, right? So let me look into those people having one kid. What is how it is changing? Those people having 2 kids, those people having 3 kids. So as you see, the number of children are growing. Obviously, number of customers are less, having 3 children or 4 children. But if you see, those people, those customers are not claiming, right? They might be people becoming health conscious or taking good care of their health, and they have less claim, right? So they are becoming good customers for me. So at a certain kind of point, those customers having 3 children, 4 or 5, right? They are becoming good customers for me, right? So this shows a visual representation, or visually I can divide my customers into different groups: high risk customers, less risk customers, and I can take a combination of different filters, right? Let me take the smoker kind of smokers, those people who are smoking, gender all and children all, right? So almost all the smokers, that again already we know that are kind of risky customers for me. But again, if some of them who are below median age and median BMI, right, around at least 30 to 40% of them are not claiming, right? I can consider them, right? But again, those people who are smoking, obviously that is a known case. If you are a smoker and if you are going for taking a health insurance, right, obviously you will have to pay a lot more premium charges, right? So then the interesting part, who are those kind of blue ones, right? Those people who are not claimed. So if I select those, mostly those will be the people having. So those, if you see, those people, smokers having 3 kids, right? If they have a median less than, sorry, they are below median BMI and median age, right? So all of them, even being smokers, right, they have not claimed, right? So these are the interesting insights you can get from this kind of analysis, right? Are you able to do it, or anyone having any kind of problem completing this?
So the cluster is not in the middle in my table.
Plus,
The cluster, the Data sets are not in the middle.
I'm not able to get it. Data sets in the sense.
Give me the access to share my screen once.
Okay.
This is not in the middle. I cannot drag it in the middle.
Yeah, because you have not changed the axis, right? Change the axis. Edit axis.
Where to do that?
Right click on the edge. Go below. Right click on the edge. Edit axis. You have already done. Why you have kept age is 46? Is there no people who is above 46?
Yes.
Are you sure? How did you know? Just look into the
What?
dataset before answering that, right? How did you know that is 46 in the fixed end? Have you looked at the dataset or just like that you gave 46 as your?
No, sir, I haven't done this. It's showing automatically. I have changed the
Automatically?
BMI axis, but not the age.
It is not 46, right? Look into what will be your. So if you are putting axis and it is just taking customers up to 46, there are people who are above 50, 60 also, right? Close to 60 people are there. That will not be in your graph. Put it as 70.
So should I put as 70 or 80? Right?
Yes. Stop sharing. Put it as 70 and stop sharing. Okay. Anyone having any other issue? We'll proceed to the other data set.
Sir, can you share the recording after the class because my tablet desktop is crashing.
Yes, I'll share. Anyone else? Okay. Quickly, we'll discuss something interesting today on the if I have different data sets, right? How to work on that. Let me just quickly go through few slides and then we'll discuss on those two data sets. Okay, if I have, let's say, two Excel files, right, or one Excel file, one text file, right, different data sources, right. Up to now, what we have done, either wherever we have worked for the last 2-3 sessions, we have been working on this insurance data set, right. That is a single data source. But in the real life, when you work somewhere, right, it won't be the case. There will be multiple data files, multiple data sets which will be working on, right. So that is where the options of combining different data sets, working on different data sets come in Tableau, right? So earlier 2 years back, when right now we are working on 2021 version. In 2019, these three options used to be there: join, blending, and union. From last year onwards, from 2020, they have Tableau have put one more kind of combination data source, that is relationship, right? Uh, so let us try to understand what is that, right? Just think about I have one data set, and if you just open that data source, that Excel file and the CSV file, right? CSV file is about the last year's data up to I think September, number of people, number of COVID cases across different countries, cumulative death, cumulative cases. Other data set I have downloaded from the World Bank site, that is shows about the gross national income. HFI is Human Freedom Index, population density, right? I just wanted to show you like how you can combine two data sets, right? So data sources are different, right? One is from the COVID WHO data source, which I downloaded last year. Another one is from the World Bank site, right? Now the point is, I want to combine those two files. I want to use both the files and work in a single place, right? How to work on combination of files, combination of data sources. Let us try understand join and blend, and join blend. Then once I go to the screen, I'll show you what is actually relationship, right? So join, there are different type of joins. right? If some of you have used SQL earlier, right? Or any kind of database, some of you are from engineering background, right? So different data sources can be joined into different type of joins are there, right? What do you mean by inner join? If I have two data sources, right? Inner join is the kind of intersection of the data, right? In my first table, right, I have only 3 rows. In my second table also I have 3 rows, but in my first table, the row information, the first 1, 2, 3, in the second it is 1, 2, 4, right? So what will happen when I take a inner join, right? It will look into what are the commonalities, right? What is the information which is common to both the kind of data set, right? So that's why it will take only 1 and 2, right? Because this 3 is not there in the data set 2 in the Y data set. This 4 information is not there in the X data set, right? When you talk about inner join, right, it will just take the commonality, the intersection of two data sources, right? Then left join. Left join, what happens if I keep my primary data source in the left side? All the information which is there in the primary data source in my left data, that will remain. Whatever information in the right side. So see, I have this table 1, 2, 3 information x1, x2, x3. In the other table again 1, 2, 4 y1, y2, y3, right? So it will look into the first column 1, 2 is there, 1, 2 is there. So these are the only information which will come, and additionally whatever information was there on the left table, because I'm doing a left join, right? So how it is different from the inner join? In inner join only the first 2 rows would have been there, 1, 2, x1, x2, y1, y2. These 3 x3 would not have been there because that is not common to the Y data set. That was the point of discussion on inner join. But when we are discussing on the left join only the this part, whatever information is available on your left data set, right, in your primary data set, it will be there. Then additionally common data from the Y data set will be joined, right, will be included in your like when you are joining two data sets, right? Any questions on this inner join and left join?
Sir, in this left joint, the 1, 2 is the common data for the right side of the data set. But
Yeah.
y1 and y2 are not common data, but here it is taking y1, y2, but removing y4. Sir,
Y4 because okay. So whenever you are deciding on the join, right, you have to decide or you have to tell to like whichever SQL or whichever kind of platform you are using, on what column, on what row that data set will get combined, right? If you do not tell that, it will take always the first column. If I'm combining two data sets, right, when I'm taking about the commonality, right, it cannot take commonality for all the columns. It will take commonality either for a single column, right? So that single column, if I have not defined, it will take the first column. So in my first column, what is there? 1, 2, 3. In my second data set, what are the column? 1, 2, 4. So what is common? 1 and 2. So that will be only taken. So that what information is there on the for those 2 rows, 1, 2, whatever information is there, that will be again taken. Is it clear, or again you want me to repeat? So let me again go back to inner join.
Sir,
Yeah.
yes, sir. Sir, inner joint I got it got cleared, but
Yeah.
sir, for left joint, sir, you told the primary
No,
data of
inner join also the same kind of question remains, right? When you talk, I am
no, sir,
taking
sir, in
y1.
inner joint, yes, in inner joint, it is taking only 1, 2, but also taking the both x1, x2, and y1, y2.
Correct.
But in left joint, what is the primary for the left side data? Means suppose this Excel has 1, 2, 3 is the primary data, and the right side Excel has the first column data is 1, 2, and both are matching. So it is taking 1, 2, and 3 as well, because left side is the primary one.
Yes.
But it is not taking 4, but it is taking x1, x2, y1, y2, and x3. Why not y4?
Y4 because 3 is not there, right? Here it is 4. It is not matching with 3.
Okay, means the left. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Then got it.
So if it was written 3, obviously it would have taken. So when it is matching 1, 1 matching, 2, 2 matching, it is 3, it is here 4. So because it is in the left side data, whatever you are writing, it will be there. Right side data, if it is not matching, it will be discarded, it will be deleted.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Right join, exactly opposite of left join. Whatever in your right side, it will remain there. So in the earlier case, what happened? 3 used to be there, 4 used to get deleted. Now what will happen? 1 to 4 will be there. Then 3 and x3 will get deleted from your data source. Whatever table you put on the right side, right? All the information in the right side table will be there. On the right side table, whatever common data of your left side table, that will also will be there. Whichever is extra data, this 3x3 is not there, it is not matching, it will be getting deleted. Exactly opposite of your left join. Then full join. Full join easy. All the table will be, every information will be there, right? You do not have to delete anything. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all the information is available. Right. So again, this those are the GIF files. So it might, when I take a PDF, it might not be available. So that's why again I have taken certain screenshots and put it here for your reference. I'll be sending these slides. Then these are the joins, right? The next trick, something called blend, right? So in join, what happens? You are taking two data sets based upon your join type you are telling. It is actually combining those data sets and creating a new data set, right? So that is what is known as combining the data set in the physical layer, right? In blend, what happens? It is taking two data sets, right? And it will combine on the physical layer, but it is not creating a new data set. In joining, what happens? If I take two data sets and I put my joining method as inner join or full join or outer join, whatever method I put, right? Based on that logic, it will create a new data set, combine that two data set and create a new data set, right? But in the blend option, it is not actually creating a new data set. In the blend option, though both the data files will be available, and I will be free to choose which data set will be primary and which data set will be secondary. No columns, no rows are going to get deleted, right? So that is one advantage of blend over your joins. Earlier, like I said, 2 years back, these are the only two options which was available on kind of in your Tableau, right? Right now, if I go to Tableau, right, let me show what is about that relationship and how it is different from your join and blend. Open Tableau and so let me open a new file altogether. Like this. So now for the data source part, first I'll take my text file. That is my COVID data. Okay. So if you open that CSV file, it will be like kind of nothing will be, you will not be able to read that. See how easily this is segregated in Tableau, right? If you just open that CSV WHO file, right? So almost it seems like a text file, right? You're not able to get any insights out of that, right? Once I upload that into Tableau, right? It clearly shows when that date of reporting, country code, country name, which of the WHO region it belongs to, new cases on that particular day, cumulative cases, new date, and cumulative dates, right? So this is the information up to I think 20 September or before that, till that point of time I had downloaded data. Okay. So this is one data set. I have another data set, right? So now I'll go and add connections. So that is the Excel file. Click on the Excel. That is the country parameter. Okay. So this, what you are seeing here, right? This is the WHO dashboard. WHO, not dashboard, WHO kind of a data file which is available. Then I have another Excel file, right? So the challenge is, or the kind of objective is to work on both the files, right? So there are various ways to do it. Let us try to understand what is a relationship, right? So if I drag this country parameter here, so country parameter, that data source for the table name is sheet 1. I'll drag it here, right? And I'll put it anywhere here. So it will ask me, so if you see what is it, edit relationship, on what basis these two are linked, these two data sets. So that is one idea. These two data sets must be linked, right? Then only I can say that, okay, I can combine. Otherwise, I have to work independently on those two data sets, right? There should be a single column which is combining, which should be work as a link between these two data sets, right? So obviously in my COVID data set, there is a column name which is country. In my this country data set, right? On the country parameter data set, there is also a parameter called country1, right? So those are the country names, right? On that logic, on that basis, these two data sets are going to get combined, right? So this is what relationship do. But how it is different from joins? If you write, see here, it is already written. How do relationship different from joins? If you want to get into detail, you can click it here and read about it. Relationship work on the logical layer. So this is the logic on which these data sets will be combined, right? But it is not deleting anything. It is not destructing, like taking out any rows, any columns, right? All the information will be still available. Remember what we discussed in the blend. So this option actually was not available on the Tableau 2 years back. Last year only they started putting this kind of information, this kind of characteristics in Tableau, option in Tableau. So basically the blending option combined with your join option, right? So here what happens? I'll put a logic. My logic is my column country in the COVID data set is equal to, or the information is same as my country one information in the sheet one, right? On that logic, these two data set will be combined, but there won't be any deletion of any data. There won't be any deletion of rows or columns, right? So this is the idea of relationship. So I can just go ahead and work on that. If I can go to worksheet and work on the table, the country, GNI, HFI, population density, or the WHO data set also, WHO country data set also, right? This is about the relationship, right? Let me take this out. So you told, sir, you like kind of discussed about the joining part. Where is that, right? If I just scroll to this part, right? If you see what is written, double click this logical table to see it physical table, right? So physical table, remember how it is different from logical table. Logical table, I am just putting a logic that, okay, how these two data sets will interact with each other, right? So there is no deletion, there is no combination, no new data set is created, right? It is just showing that, okay, these two data sets are interlinked based on the country name, right? But when you talk about the physical layer actually, depending upon the condition, depending upon your different type of join, some row, some information will be deleted, right? If I say full join, all the information will be there. But if I say inner join, only the countries which are common in both the document, let's say in that COVID document, in the country parameter document, those there are around 170 or 180 countries in COVID. In the country parameter, there are around 170. So there are 6 countries or 8 countries are not there. So those rows will be get deleted from the COVID data set, right? So that is the work, or that is the like kind of fundamentals beyond logical layer and physical layer. How to get into physical layer? Just click on this, double click on this. So see little bit of change in the kind of user interface has happened, right? Now if I go back and drag this sheet one here, right? So it will show me what kind of join you are looking into: inner join, left join, right join, or pull outer. Pull outer, that's what we discussed on the pull join, right? all that. So there won't be any deletion of any data, right? All the both the table will be there. But how it is different from logical layer? Actually, it is creating a new table. It is creating a new data source, right? So if I just put the left join on what basis? Country basis. Country basis from the data source, and on the sheet one, it is country one, right? So it will create whatever information there in my COVID table, all the information will be there. Then whatever common data set, common information in the that country parameter, that will be copied here. If something is not there, it will be deleted. Right? So whatever information in the left side, it will be there. Whatever common information in the country parameter, it will be copied here, right? So that is the left join. If I do inner join, both commonality, right? Whichever is common to both the documents, both the data source, that will be copied, right? So these are the different joins. Okay. So whenever you are working on multiple data sets, multiple worksheets, right? So either you can, so it's simpler ways to work with the relationship. You need not have to get into this join. But again, it is essential when you use actually SQL or some other kind of linkage. Let's say you are using Python or R with Tableau, right? It might be helpful there because in SQL, a lot of this kind of joins are used. Okay. Any questions or any doubt on this before we proceed?
Can you please show the join part again?
Yeah. So take this out. So this is my WHO. This is the first data set what I had selected. I'll just double click on this. So once I double click on this, the user interface or the screen will slightly change. So now I'll go to this country parameter. I'll take this sheet one and put it here. Now it will ask me what type of join I require, whether it will be inner join, left join, right join, or full outer join. So let's say I want the inner join. So on the data source, what is the column name? On what basis? So that is the commonality it will check, right? It cannot check into multiple columns, right? It will check into data source country. It one is country one, right? It will check in that country names. Let's say India is there in the COVID. So it will check whether India is there in the whatever the country parameter. If it is not there, that information will be get deleted. If it is there only, that information will be here. It will create a new table or a new data source.
Sir, sir, how to change the means primary data set means the WHO COVID-19. If I want to change it to secondary data set, then how it should be done?
So
Like
first,
if I have
whichever
added country parameter is first, then add WHO COVID-19.
take
Then
that
by
out,
default,
take sheet one. So drag that out, then sheet one will be primary. Then COVID you take. That will be secondary.
okay. Sir, but in the connection, the color coding should be changed or not? Means will change or not after doing this?
The connection means
In the connection panel, the color coding is there, the blue and orange one. The blue is for the primary and orange is for the I think secondary data set. So after doing this,
correct. So
sheet
generally,
one,
whichever data source you have taken first, right? Whichever data source you have linked first, right? So if you go
yes,
back to here, sheet one, right? So your WHO dashboard is already there. You can remove that. What is that? Close that connection, right? Connect to data. So let's say you want to take the country parameter is my primary data source, right? Go to
yes.
Microsoft Excel, country parameter open, then add connection, right? So now country parameter becomes your primary data source.
Okay, sir.
So country one. So this is how you can join or you can build relationship between two data sources and work on that, right? So then we discuss something called all the blending, right? So let me show you how to like kind of create blend. Just so without here doing any relationship or blend join type, right? So I have what I have done. I have taken two. I have taken the WHO data set and I have taken this country parameter data set, right? So there is something called blend option, right? Where is that? I can go to data. I'll click on this edit blend relationship. Now I'll say which is my primary data source, whether it will be country parameter or WHO. I can change that here. I'll say country parameter, let's say, is my primary data source. On what basis? Secondary data source, because I have only one more data source, right? It is already selected. On what basis they will be joining, right? So primary data source country field, secondary data source, the field is country, right? On that basis, those two data sources will be blended, right? This becomes my primary data source. Let's say I'll take this again here, right here.
So mine doesn't show the option edit blend relationship.
Can you please repeat your question?
So in my case, it does not show the edit blend relationship. Do we need to join it or do something in the initial stage, sir?
No, no, no. So remove that data set. If it is there, remove it. Then only go here and add connection. If you go here, right? Data, new data source.
Okay, sir.
Sir, how you change, like when I take to the column, it shows some bracket with GNI.
What happened? Can you please repeat your question?
Sir, when I drag from the table to the columns, it shows some in bracket GNI, but in your column, it's only showing the GNI.
So look into that whether it is showing dimension continuous. It should not be there.
So
Sir, in
what?
custom section, are you selected country and country different?
Which one?
So at the time of edit blending, like doing blending, the option is custom one. One is automatic, another is custom. Then custom, then edit means I have add option. Then after that, what to do? Like
Nothing. Put
selecting.
OK only. Click on this.
Okay.
Edit.
Add.
Primary data field country. Here also country. Put OK. Then put OK.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, Asrit, what was your question? Here it is showing as sum.
Yes, sir. Got it, sir. If I am changing it to dimension, then only it's showing the same as you.
So one thing So we discussed into reference line. Let's say I want to create a cluster of this whatever countries, how many countries are there. So the countries are different kind of gross national income and human freedom index, right? Human freedom index again 0 to 9 or 0 to 10. More the better, right? So 8, 9 means that country is kind of a democratic country and much more freedom to the citizens. GNI obviously more the better, right? The more the GNI that country has, right? So so let me just put label also.
So, but you have many more options on table section and under, but we have few options.
Okay.
Under the table, you have country, country code, data reported, WHO region. I have only country and major names, and GNI, HFI, and are different options. But in your desktop, there is.
If the WHO COVID, then it will show.
So click on this data set. I have not actually created any joins. It is I'm just working on the blend part.
So how to do the green dot and orange dot?
Which one?
In data, under data section, you have sheet 1 and W2. Beside sheet 1, there is a green dot and that drum symbol. And under WHO cover, there is orange dot. Left side in the data. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, how?
Whichever is the
Sir,
primary, that will be the kind of a blue one. Whichever is the secondary, that will be the orange symbol.
yes, sir, but I'm not getting that color coding in this.
So once you start taking one data to here, right? Once you start, let's say GNI or HFI to this workspace, right? Automatically it will become blue one.
Okay, sir. Got it.
So let me just edit the axis. So one thing quickly, we have discussed reference line. Where is first? Okay. Okay, cluster movement work in the blended dimension. Okay. Then let me go for blend. We have country parameters and WHO dashboard. So you can use actually cluster. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir.
You can actually use clustering to create different customer clusters, right? Like we did that in the insurance case, right? We created manually. We created a quadrant and we asked and we manually tried to create different kind of clusters. Automatically in Tableau, you can use clusters. Click on this cluster, drag here, right? It will ask you on what variable basis it is going to create clusters, right? This is the gross national income. This is the human freedom index HFI. Then there is something called population density, right? So you can add anything, any other more data set you want to keep, you can keep it here. Or let's say I want to create my cluster on basis on that. I have to define how many clusters, 2, 3, 4, depending upon whatever I define, right? Let's say I define, I want to create 3 clusters, right? So automatically 3 different clusters will be created. Then if I go here, click on this edit clusters. Let's say I do not want to take population density as a cluster variable. I take that out and put that as here, right? So these are the clusters only taking GNI and FFI. If I want to add, let's say population density as a one other variable, I'll click it here and drag it here as a one more variable, right? So now whenever cluster is being calculated or cluster centered is being calculated, right, it will take all those 3 variables and accordingly it will create these different type of clusters. So I can describe and I can find out what does those clusters mean, what are the information. If I go to the summary of clusters, right, for cluster 1 there are 104 countries, for cluster 2 62, cluster 3 8. What is the cluster 1? The GNI, gross national income, is around average is around 9,300. HFI is 6.26. Population density is 148.28 per square kilometer. Cluster 2 there are 62 countries, right? Average kind of gross national income is 29,715. HFI is better than the whatever the cluster 1, it is around 8. Population density is also high. And then there is cluster 3, there are 8 countries, right? GNI is very high, gross national income. So look into this mid like kind of Asian countries like United Arab Emirates, Oman, those kind of countries, right? GNI, HFI is in between 6.65. Population density is very high because small countries, if I divide it by the population live there, right, density will be pretty high, right? So I can look into different type of clusters and I can describe those clusters, right? Look into this way. If I have that insurance data and I can create different type of clusters using these parameters also, right? Any questions on this? How to create clusters? It is very simple. Go to analytics, click on this cluster and drag it here, right?
So now it is not showing the cluster option.
Yeah, because you have already used that, right? It is here. So if I,
No, sir.
yeah,
My Tableau desktop just like it did not open. So again, when I did it in a fresh tab, it shows that cluster is not available.
so are you working still on the blended what we initially worked?
No,
Because cluster is not
no,
working on that. You have
I
deleted
have,
those connections.
yes, sir.
Okay. And if you go here, it will show the region. If you just hover around on that, what kind of information it is showing? If you just put your cursor on that cluster.
So it says a cluster can't be added to a view that contains only table calculation, blended fields, continued dates, groups, set beans, or geocode fields.
Okay, so you have taken GNI and HFI here.
Yes, sir. Both has dimension.
Okay, just change it to and it is showing same thing, right? Whatever information is showing in my screen, it is showing same,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir. I have also added the population density thing.
Yeah, that is not an issue. Like even if you do not add that, that's not the problem. What is that? Make it continuous. Is it showing discrete?
No, sir. It's continuous. Both of them are continuous.
And measure sum.
Yes, sir.
Ideally, that should be no problem.
Yeah, now it shows, sir.
Okay.
One of them has not been summed, so that is. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So that about your clustering, whatever we have put out. Okay. So quickly, I'll show you one more option. Let us use the data source. Create a new worksheet. So again, this is not the updated data. Like I said, this is the data source from the last year, which I had downloaded back in September, right? So what we'll want to do, let's say we'll want to forecast number of deaths or number of cases in COVID, right? So we have this information, date reported each day, how many death has happened, right? We'll take that two columns. So take it as date. Then we look into cumulative death into rows. Okay. So this is basically the, again, this is not a complete data. This was showing till last September end, close to September end. So see how the cumulative death rate has increased, right? Was the September till last, I think September 19th was the last data source, right? Cumulative death has happened 9,48,795 across the whole world, right? So now what happens? Let's say at that point of time you want to forecast, right? What will be the forecasted death in the next 1 month or next few days, right? How you can do that? Click on this forecast, drag it again simple. So forecasting, clustering, all these analytic options are very simple here. Everybody is in this page or anyone who is not in this screen?
I'm getting different type of graph, like not like from January 1 to and it is increasing. I have something
Yeah,
different up down.
change it to day.
So I did that day upper one.
Not day, this day. This is the dimension one, this is the measure one.
Yes, sir. Yes. Got it.
So now if you see, the dark blue is the actual value, this one the estimated value, and I can change the forecasting technique also, right? I'll click here, not here, sorry. I'll go here, right click, forecast options. Okay. So now what has done? For how many days it is showing actually automatic for next 8 days. Let's say I want to forecast for until 1 month, or on the days I'll say 30 days. So for the next 30 days, I want to carry out a forecast. So if I go here, so these are the estimated dates. By October 17th, my model is forecasting the death rate would have increased to 1,01,03,808. But obviously, I can go back and check now on by October 17th, what was the actual death, right? And I can update my model accordingly, right? Then I can use the technique used in the forecast also. So if you go here and it is doing a forecast model automatic, right? So mostly it uses this exponential smoothing method. So here automatic without seasonality, right? So obviously this is a COVID, it doesn't have a seasonality. Or if I can build a model with seasonality and I can prove that in winter season it has a pattern for the last 2 years, right? 2019 winter, the COVID cases increased or COVID deaths increased. 2020 also that same thing happened. If I can prove that, and I can build a seasonal, like I can take the seasonality component into it. Remember, in forecasting there are two or three things. Anyone can clarify what is trend and what is seasonality? Difference between trend and seasonality. Any one of you? When you talk about forecasting, what do you mean by trend and what do you mean by seasonality?
Sir, in trend, it shows the pattern for a long period of time, and in seasonality, for particular seasons only, the data changes.
Seasonality actually is the pattern. Seasonality is if it's something is repeating. It can be in a single year. It can be in multiple years, right? Whenever you talk about the economic seasonality, right? Inflation, deflation will come under certain economic cycles, right? Seasonality is always about that cycles, right? Trend is on that particular period of time, long term or short term, how your overall like movement is happening, whether it is a linear trend or a non-linear trend, whether it is upward trend or a downward trend, right? Seasonality is always about if that part of your movement is repeating itself, right? Is there a pattern to it, right? Is there a pattern which I can predict? So that is the difference between trend is basically how that overall graph or how that overall movement is happening. Is it linear or non-linear? Is it upward trend or downward trend? Seasonality is how that is repeating itself, right? How your forecast or prediction is repeating itself. Like if you take these COVID cases, it might happen that if it continues for few more years, right? You might have to build certain seasonal components to it, right? In a particular season, it might happen that in a particular country, COVID cases are increasing, right? It is repeating. The pattern itself is repeating. So you can build custom model, putting what is the trend, whether it is additive or multiplicative, whether season is additive or multiplicative. Additive means if whatever parameters or components I am taking, whether it gets added to each other. Multiplicative means one parameter multiplied by another parameter, right? So let's say I want to predict the winter clothes, number of winter clothes which I will be selling this season, right? For this year, right? Predict for next year. So if I'm putting a seasonal components, right? Few of the parameters, whether those parameters are additive. So when I'm building a model or forecast, whether they will add those parameters will get added to each other or will get multiplied to each other, right? So there are different kind of models, different kind of combinations, trend n, seasonality n. So that is the NN model. That means no trend, no seasonality, or a additive, a trend, and multiplicative seasonality, right? So I'll not get into that part. So separate sessions will be required for that. But again, remember that the difference between trend and seasonality. Trend is something like which happens for that forecast, upward or downward trend, linear, non-linear trend, right? It is not actually repeating itself. Seasonality is that part of your equation, that part of your curve which has a pattern which repeats itself over the time, right? Might be in the short term or might be in the long term. So why I was showing that, okay, one more thing. So basically you can customize your model, and one better way to kind of compare different model is to look into different parameters, right? Let me build a automatic model, and this is my forecast, right? So if I go there, right click, forecast and describe forecast, right? So it will show that how that model was created. Then it will look into the model. All forecasts were computed using exponential smoothing. I hope in quantitative techniques you might have covered. And these are the different model parameters, right? Quality metrics, right? So these are nothing but your root mean square error, like absolute mean absolute error, mean absolute scaled error, mean absolute percentage error. Then this is alkyl IC. So this is a measure which says that how complex or how simple your model is, right? So basically, it will prove or it will look into, or it will always try to simplify. So this is the characteristics modelers use to simplify their model. So, but if you have not got through that, next semester, any or we're going to cover that. What we will be much more interested in the mean absolute percentage error, right? This is something so that how much you are debating in percentage terms from the actual numbers, right? So the error percentage is 0.2 percentage, and mean absolute scaled error is if I have created a just a forecast based upon my historical number, right? No model, no exponential smoothing, only a base model, naive model, right? How my model is performing in comparison to a base model, how much error, lower the number, the better, right? So if I just use these two numbers to compare my models, my automatic model is giving me a mean absolute percentage error of 0.2 percentage, right? I'm not going into the theoretical part of it, hoping to have covered that in your quantitative techniques. If I just change it to automatic without seasonality, right? And put OK. And now I go back and look into whether my model has changed. So if you see, mean absolute percentage error has not changed, it is still 0.2 percentage, but mean absolute scaled error, it is 0.23, right? So like I said, this is lower the better, right? So my other model automatic was performing better. That means including certain seasonality, right? When I take a model without seasonality, right, it is not performing better on these quality matrices, right? Obviously, I have to compare the mean absolute error and root mean square error, right? So these are the some of the key matrices which you use to compare models. And it is not only for the forecast, any kind of machine learning or regression, any kind of method you use to forecast something, right? To predict something, right? You can use this quality matrices. Okay. Then these are the smoothing coefficient, right? Remember the formula what you might have studied. Your previous historical value plus alpha. So alpha is that smoothing component, right? Any questions on this? So this is a easier way to forecast. You need not have to create any equation. You need not have to write any equation, regression equation. Just drag this forecast option to the field, and obviously you have to decide. So here again, it is a drop down or a drag and drop menu, right? It will automatically show the forecasted values, right? So for my October 18th, 2020, cumulative death is showing 1,01,03,279. And I can go back and check on the past data actually how much death has happened, right? And can verify whether my model predicted correctly or not, because this is for the last year, right? Not this year. Okay. So what we discussed today, we discussed reference line, we discussed cluster, and we discussed forecast, and I showed you the quadrant analysis options on for how you can generate a quadrant. Any questions on this? Okay. So this overall completes kind of your few options. Again, I'm not telling this kind of completes all the things which is available on Tableau. There are many things which you can input. You can write code in Python connected to Tableau. So you can put some SQL query connected to Tableau. So those are the advanced features. I'll check with Professor Bhuvandeep because your exam date is announced. He has to take 4 classes before your exam starts. And I'll look into how many classes are left over. In case, based on the discussion, he might take classes on the Excel from the next class. But if he agrees, I might take another one more class, right? But again, I have to discuss with him. So be prepared for that. But whatever I have covered so far, I have already shared slides, and today whatever we discussed, I'll be sharing the slide. In case of any doubt, Monday and Thursday, generally I do not have classes. you can reach out or you can give me a call during that time. In case I do not take the next session, right? Because overall we have covered in theory all the aspects. Even if I take the next class, it will be only for the doubt clearing. Anyone having any doubt, you can discuss that in the next class. But if that doesn't happen, that class doesn't happen, and Professor Bhuvandip takes next class, Monday and Thursday generally I remain free, so you can give me a call in the daytime, and we can discuss if you find any difficulty. Any last question before I close the session?
Sir, will you share the recordings?
Yeah, I'll share.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I missed my attendance.
What is your roll number?
099.
Sir, 171 also.
171.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go through that assignment and please complete that by 17th of November, right? And that is for 10 marks. And your COVID assignment, which I had given earlier, that is for 5 marks. Chalo, take care and all the best.